Coming up on the Northwestern News Report.
Attacks in Paris. One Northwestern student shares her perspective.
From Mizzou to NU, how some Northwestern students chose to show solidarity.
And why the hunt for a golden egg has the campus talking.
All those stories and more.
Coming up on the Northwestern News Report, it's your news right now.
The first thing I did when we figured out all that was going on was make a Facebook status, and that really alerted a lot of people. A lot of people sent me messages like, hey, worried about you, but I saw your status and that was an instant relief.
And that's our top story tonight. Hello and welcome to the Northwestern News Report. I'm Jesse Kirsch.
And I'm Orko Manna. Thanks for joining us. More than 130 people died from the attacks in Paris on Friday night. In light of these recent attacks, I sat down with Medill student Carson Brown, who is studying abroad in Paris this quarter. This morning, we discussed how she sees the country responding. Carson, first off, I just want to say thank you for joining us on the program tonight.
Of course, no problem, Orko.
So Carson, what has it been like in Paris over the past few days?
Paris is a really strong city. A lot of people here were in one way or another kind of expecting for something to happen at some point. There's been a lot of turmoil kind of going on. We've seen different attacks over the last several years here in Europe. And my own homestay mom said, we're expecting something like this and we know how to react to it and we know how to come together.
How have you been able to reach out to family and friends to let them know how you're doing, to let them know that you're safe?
Facebook had an option where you could click a button and simply say, I'm safe, and it would send out a notification to everyone you're friends with, marking you as safe. That was a great help to a lot of people here. A lot of other students expressed a lot of relief at that feature because they were worried about getting news out to people. One thing I will say is I wish that option was available to more people in these kind of attacks that are happening all across the world. Paris isn't the only place that needs these kind of features.
And Carson also is someone who is on the ground in Paris right now. What are you seeing down there that we haven't really seen in the national media?
Parisians are swift actors. The very first morning, after everything had occurred, the hospitals were already overcrowded. People were lining down the block to be able to donate blood to give to the victims. Their stocks were overloaded and hospitals would be turning people away. Even as recently as yesterday afternoon, a few other Northwestern students and I were calling around hospitals and they were still saying, you know what, come back tomorrow.
And, Carson, we've seen worldwide support for the victims of these attacks and their families, especially on social media with postings and temporary French flag profile pictures. But with you being there on the ground in Paris right now, how have you seen Paris come together?
When I was walking one of our friends home, another Northwestern student, and we passed one of the churches in the neighborhood, and there were French police outside the church, but all along the steps and all along the ground was just this layer of rose petals of every different color. And people had left them there to show solidarity, to show how much they cared. And it was almost haunting because the street was empty, but there was this mark of humanity, of people who cared and had just laid all these rose petals out, which was comforting and powerful for us to see the next morning.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Carson, and we're really glad to know that you're safe.
Thank you so much.
The Northwestern Study Abroad office confirmed Saturday midday that all Northwestern students in France this quarter are safe. We reached out to the office for comment and they said, quote, "Obviously our hearts went out to the French people and the victims of this attack. We were shocked and saddened by the tragedy in Paris. At the same time, we were very grateful our students are all safe, and we have been working since then to make sure they have all the information, guidance, and support they need."
And that isn't the only way Northwestern is showing its support. The International Student Association held a Candlelight Vigil at the Rock on Sunday night to honor the victims of the attacks in Paris, Baghdad, Syria, and more. Candles in hand, students gather around the Rock to show solidarity with victims of attacks abroad. ISA planned the event in response to the terrorist attacks in Paris last Friday. The event included Jewish, Christian, and Muslim speakers. French students also shared a few words with the crowd. The event ended with a moment of silence held by Northwestern President Morton Shapiro. Organizer Isumra said the event was an important part of raising awareness of the attacks here within the Northwestern community.
It's really tough to get involved, especially when a lot of people here have no idea what it's like around the world. But yeah, just talking about these issues, supporting the people that are the victims, and showing that we stand with them, we support them, and we want to continue the fight for liberty and humanity and freedom around the world. I think that's just really important.
The vigil may have been Sunday, but you can still help the French recovery effort by donating to the French Red Cross.
Turning now to campus, Northwestern saw one of the largest student protests in recent memory Friday. Students were expressing solidarity with students at the University of Missouri and protesting conditions for students of color here on campus. NNN's Eric Miller was on the scene and has our report tonight.
This was the scene on Friday as student protesters occupied the groundbreaking ceremony being held at the Henry Crown Sports Pavilion. Marching, singing, and chanting, Northwestern students called for change.
We made sure we were heard. That was our goal, and we did it. And so I'm really proud of everybody that came out and took part in that.
The catalyst, the recent events at the University of Missouri, where students protested what they see as a racial injustice at Mizzou. But Friday's protest also demanded change here at NU. Protest leaders presented a list of at least 10 demands. They included increasing the Northwestern black student population from 7 to 10%, and creating courses that teach about the black, Hispanic, Asian American, and Native American experiences. The protest began with a Solidarity with Mizzou rally in front of the Black House. Approximately 300 students, some yelling and often emotionally, voiced complaints about the way African American students are treated at Northwestern and across the U.S. Students then marched up Sheridan Road to Tech, where they protested what they called an underrepresentation of minority students in STEM fields. The groundbreaking ceremony came next. Students forced their way into the event and occupied the stage, listing off their demands and chanting, "From NU to Mizzou." Students chose this venue as it provided both a high-profile place to express demands and a way to confront Northwestern President Morton Shapiro. Shapiro issued a statement immediately after the students left the event, saying in part, quote, "Part of me felt a certain amount of pride that our students had the guts and the organizational ability to march here from a rally and under real risk came here and confronted us that way."
I don't see any of the demands being rejected because that's really not an option for us. Our lives are at stake.
We will be following this story as it develops. For the Northwestern News Network, I'm Eric Miller.
Northwestern's Associated Student Government is also making it clear that they stand with Mizzou through official action. ASG Senate voted unanimously Wednesday night to pass an emergency resolution saying that the Northwestern student body stands in solidarity with the students in Missouri. The resolution not only shows support for students at Mizzou, but also shows support for students fighting for racial justice at Northwestern, saying in part, quote, "No student, regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, or economic status, should feel unsafe on their own campus."
I think it was important to not only reach out and show solidarity with students in Mizzou, but also take the time to realize that Northwestern needs to take action itself as a campus.
Gizen Danner says she hopes the resolution will send a strong message to Northwestern administration about the student body's concern for racial justice.
The proposed plans to change the Black House have been canceled. Professor Charles Whitaker, chair of the Black House Faculty Review Committee, says it's not clear what will happen next. The committee will hold their final listening meeting Friday, where students can come and make suggestions for improvement. But Whitaker says that what will become of those recommendations remains to be seen.
And while so many members of the Northwestern community were showing their support for the students at the University of Missouri, the women's basketball team was right there with them, just a few blocks away. The players duct taped the words, "We support Mizzou," on the back of their warm-up jerseys for Sunday night's season opener. The team released a statement recognizing the players' privilege as athletes and how it relates to the conflict in Missouri. Part of the statement from the team reads, quote, "We believe that students shouldn't have to choose between going to class and their safety, and that every voice is valuable and deserves to be heard. We hope that this act of love and solidarity would inspire other student athletes to use their platforms to take a stand."
Coming up, Governor Rauner made an announcement yesterday that has Illinois talking. When we come back, we'll tell you what it was and what it could mean for the state.
I'm Madeline Coe, and when we come back, I'll have your 5-day weather forecast.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
will cheer you all the go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, spread for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
Why hang around waiting for opportunity to knock when instead you can track opportunity down and knock on its door? You might ask, what's the best way to identify where opportunity lives? Here's a hint. Its door is colored purple. Northwestern University. Opportunity awaits your knock.
Why spend your entire life looking for some on-ramp to the road to opportunity when there's already a well-traveled path? So you may be wondering, what does that path look like? Is it paved with gold? Well, here's a hint. It's actually paved with purple. Northwestern University. Your road starts here.
Good evening. This is Madeline Coe with your 5-day weather forecast. It looks like our warm fall weather is finally coming to an end with some cooler temperatures and even snow on the way. Wednesday morning will bring some showers, but will clear up by the evening with a high of 61 and a low of 41. The sun will come out on Thursday with some slight wind and a high of 47 and low of 33. The week will finish off with some lower temperatures this Friday in windy conditions. There is a high of 44 and a low of 29. Saturday will bring quite the wintry conditions with a high of 34 and low of 21. Snow will be making its way to the Northwestern campus. And finally, Sunday will brighten up just a bit with a mostly sunny day featuring a high of 34 and low of 29. I'm Madeline Coe, and this has been your 5-day weather forecast.
Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner announced yesterday that Illinois is one of 25 states that will not be accepting new Syrian refugees for the foreseeable future. While President Obama spoke out yesterday saying, quote, "Our nations can welcome refugees who are desperately seeking safety and ensure our own security. We can and must do both." Here tonight to tell us more about this is NNN's political director, Jamie Lovegrove. Jamie, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here, Orko.
So how significant is this announcement?
Well, Orko, it's certainly mostly a political statement from Governor Rauner as opposed to a serious policy proposal. And he's hardly a pioneer here. As you say, 25 other governors made very similar announcements, even including one Democrat in New Hampshire Governor Maggie Hassan, who's running for Senate. But the Refugee Act of 1980 quite clearly grants the authority for admitting refugees to the federal government. So none of the 25 governors who made these announcements are actually able to prevent those refugees from entering the country, being admitted entry, and then moving to Illinois after the fact. With that being said, states are often relied upon to supply support in the form of housing, medical, and educational assistance. So Rauner's office does argue that it can reevaluate how involved Illinois will be with those programs, but mostly this is a political response to the turn of public opinion on admitting Syrian refugees in light of the Paris attacks last week. We're seeing this same template play out in a lot of other states, and even more significantly perhaps in a lot of other European countries as well, and so we'll have to track that as it goes forward.
So, Jamie, where does the public opinion stand on this issue then?
Well, we'll have to wait, a few weeks for accurate polling on how Americans feel in light of the Paris attacks and how that impacts their perception on Syrian refugees. But we do know that even before this happened, it was not a politically very popular proposal. A Quinnipiac poll in September, shortly after President Obama announced that he would be accepting 10,000 Syrian refugees in the next year, showed that 53% of American voters opposed that move to 41% of support. This is a very partisan issue. It's very divided along party lines. So, it'll be interesting to see if it actually affects Illinois policy in the future.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to find out. And Jamie, while we still have you here, Newt Gingrich was on campus last night. Can you tell us something about that?
Sure, Orko. Well, the former Speaker of the House spoke at the Northwestern College Republicans speaker event in the Norris Student Center last night, and the event was free and open to the public. Gingrich spoke about his time as Speaker of the House during the Bill Clinton administration and his unsuccessful campaign for president in 2012. And Gingrich also criticized the Obama administration on several fronts and offered his thoughts on the current presidential race, admitting that he could not have predicted the current Republican presidential frontrunners Donald Trump and Ben Carson. After his speech, Gingrich took questions from the crowd addressing current issues including climate change and race relations. And Harrison Flagler, the president of College Republicans, said that the event was among the most successful ones the group has ever held.
When we were making the decision about who we were going to invite, we really wanted to bring somebody who we thought was going to speak at a really high intellectual level that's going to match the sort of audience that we're going to draw at Northwestern University, as well as somebody who sort of is a very well-known conservative thought leader who's going to be able to speak to a broad and diverse demographic.
Gingrich left with an optimistic message, encouraging students in the audience to become the generation that solves the world problems and brings the country together.
All right, thanks so much for joining us, Jamie.
Thanks for having me.
And just as we were talking about the presidential field, Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal has announced he is withdrawing from the GOP race tonight. Jindal is the third Republican to suspend his campaign, and this comes after he failed to climb the polls or establish a solid fundraising pot.
Experts met at the Pritzker School of Law on Friday for the 9th Annual Law and Social Policy Symposium. Attendees gathered to advocate for change in policing methods. NNN's Matt Dunn was there.
Professors and attorneys gathered at Northwestern's law school Friday to address the shaky relationship between the police and the community. Attorney Sam Adams says police body cameras will eliminate public speculation about police misconduct.
And when they see the abuse or they see the crime take place, we will no longer have to believe pure testimony or identification. We're going to be able to see it, experience it for ourselves.
Georgetown law professor Paul Butler cited activism in New York.
They started marching in the streets. They started sitting in at police precincts. And guess what? The number of stop and frisk by the police went way down.
And he hopes similar tactics can be applied in Chicago.
So it's that kind of community mobilization, that kind of activism, that kind of taking it to the streets. That, along with traditional techniques like bringing court cases, that's what makes a difference.
Even so, Ursula Price, the deputy police monitor of New Orleans, says we shouldn't expect these changes to be made overnight.
This took hundreds of years to get this bad. And it's going to take us a long time before we can start seeing a change on the ground.
Nonetheless, Chicago resident Rayad Graham was uplifted by the symposium.
I didn't realize how much of the changes that have made in our favor were done by the people themselves. So to know that the people have that much power was, extraordinary.
Matt Dunn, Northwestern News Network.
The theme of the symposium changes each year. There is no news yet on what is being considered for next year's panel.
After the break, we'll take a look at one Evanston initiative that's coming to a vote soon and what it could mean for the community. Stay tuned.
At Northwestern, we're wildcats in every way.
Northwestern, break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, spread for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
After years of discussion, the City Council has introduced a new amendment to Evanston's Inclusionary Housing Ordinance. NNN's Fallon Gallagher has more on that story.
City officials are proposing to increase the number of affordable housing units in Evanston. Mark Munzer has been working to make housing more attainable for all Evanston residents.
Evanston has lost 40% of its affordable housing units over the last 10 years, and that's determined by the state of Illinois. That's over 3,000 housing units that have converted from being affordable to market rate, so non-affordable to low and moderate income populations.
This initiative has been designed to stem that loss. The Inclusionary Housing Ordinance ensures developers will designate 10% of all units in a new residential development as affordable. The Planning and Development Committee proposes the creation of 1,500 new units in the next 2 to 3 years. The new units will be scattered all around the city.
We want to make sure that affordable housing is not something that's just relegated to one part of the community.
This amendment to the Inclusionary Housing Ordinance has been a long time coming. Homelessness and a lack of affordable housing in Evanston has been an issue for years, and not just for low-income residents. Many middle-income residents, like grad students, empty nesters, and millennials, have been struggling to afford the comfort of living in Evanston. City officials hope this new amendment will make a difference.
The greatest thing about Evanston is our diversity. We need to preserve that diversity, and we need affordable housing in this community.
Mayor Tisdall says a part of that is maintaining equality in Evanston.
We're never as equitable as we want to be, but the one thing about us that you can count on is we never stop trying.
From Evanston, Fallon Gallagher, Northwestern News Network.
The City Council will vote on the amendment at their next meeting, which is Monday night.
While Northwestern is making changes to its C-store beverages, Evanston officials are also thinking about what we're drinking. The Health and Human Services Department launched the Rethink Your Drink campaign earlier this month in an effort to raise awareness about sugary drinks. Evanston's Rethink Your Drink is part of the national campaign launched by First Lady Michelle Obama to combat childhood obesity. The project aims to help residents identify unhealthy drink options and understand the link between sugary drinks and health risks. Since school-age children are most vulnerable to sodas and other unhealthy beverages, the city has targeted their efforts to local classrooms. By working with children and their parents, Evanston aims to have the Rethink Your Drink campaign help families lead healthier lifestyles.
And this week in sports, could Northwestern football escape a late game tie score? Find out when we come back.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Northwestern break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all the go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, spread for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
Welcome back to the Northwestern News Report. Orko, I hear the athletic department called this weekend Wildcat Weekend.
That's right, Jesse. That's because all three major sports were playing. And Evan Denton is here with more.
Thanks, guys. All eyes were on the football team Saturday, looking to tally one final win at home for the senior class. Before the season, fans would have been happy with 7 wins, but with the Cats' performance so far, the expectations have changed. Northwestern entered as heavy favorites over Purdue to get win number 8. The Boilermakers, though, proved this would be no easy contest. Let's take a look. Senior day at a sunny Ryan Field, NU getting ready for its final home kickoff. Cats would waste no time getting on the scoreboard. Warren Long runs it in from 32 yards out, and NU would take the lead 7-0. Purdue responds immediately, though. The first play from scrimmage, check this out. A 68-yard throw from David Blow to Dominic Young to tie it up just seconds later. Second quarter now, Blow down the middle, but Travion Henry dives and intercepts the pass right before it hits the ground. That would set up another Warren Long touchdown 2 minutes later to give the Cats the 14-7 lead going into halftime. Just 3 minutes into the third quarter now, Markel Jones ties it up at 14. Score would be tied going to the fourth. Thorson now running the ball, makes it 16 yards on 3rd and 14 to pick up the first down. He would run another 16 yards in the next play using those legs we've all come to know. Now Justin Jackson takes into the end zone from 2 yards out to give the Cats a 21-14 lead, and they would hold on to win. Then on Sunday, the women's basketball team kicked off its season against Howard, looking to build on last year's NCAA tournament bid. To Welsh Ryan Arena we go. Junior Nia Coffey taking the court, and trust me, you'll hear that name a lot. Here, Coffey finishes the layup, and she's fouled. She would make the free throw for her 1,000th career point. Congratulations, Nia. And Coffey wouldn't slow down from there. Here from the corner, she drains a 3, finishing with 27 points. Getting some help from her teammates, though, Kristen Johnson with the board finds Maggie Lyon, who dribbles up the court, down to Kristen Inman, to a cutting Coffey, who finds Ashley Deary in the corner, and it's up. Nothing but net. Cats cruise 89-49. Men's basketball won too, so a good weekend all around for Wildcat sports.
All right, Evan, thanks for joining us.
After the break, find out which new Evanston restaurant is about to spread its wings.
At Northwestern, we're wildcats in every way.
Go you Northwestern. Go Northwestern, break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all the go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, spread for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
Evanston's beloved DMK Burger and Fish may be gone, but a new restaurant has made its nest in the old storefront on Noyes Street. Arlen's Chicken is announcing itself with an event it hopes will make students flock to its stores. NNN's Ben Trachtenberg has the story.
Northwestern is aflutter this week as students participate in the Golden Egg Hunt. The event is being put on by local restaurant Arlen's Chicken and student group Form and Function Marketing. The search began Monday morning for 24 golden eggs hidden in different locations across campus. Inside each egg is a paper which entitles its finder to a number of prizes, including free buckets of chicken, milkshakes, and more if they post a picture of the egg on social media. According to Ben Huang, one of the organizers of the event from FNF Marketing, there's a grand prize up for grabs.
And if your post happens to get the most likes, you'll also win unlimited fried chicken for 3 months with a friend every Sunday night.
This is the latest event organized by Form and Function Marketing. The student group fills an interesting niche on campus and is quickly moving up the pecking order.
What it is a student marketing agency. So we market for Evanston businesses, for student groups.
The idea for FNF was hatched in 2009 by two students who realized they were passionate about marketing. But their approach is far from traditional. The agency is looking to ruffle some feathers with some of their strategies.
One thing that FNF really values is thinking outside of the box, doing things that are a little more disruptive than traditional marketing on campus.
For those pecking around for the golden eggs, Ben Huang has some advice.
Keep your eyes open. Don't take anything for granted. Just look around carefully.
Ben Trachtenberg for Northwestern News Network.
You definitely want to be the early bird with this one, as students only have until November 22nd to find the eggs and claim their prizes. I'd also like to take a personal moment tonight to say thank you. Tonight is my last Northwestern News report, and it's been quite the journey. Over the past few years, I've had the pleasure of helping bring you the news that matters. Thank you to the whole NNN family. I will miss you all so much, and I know that you'll all do great things in the years to come. And that's all the time we have for tonight. I'm Orko Manna.
And I'm Evan Denton from Sports.
And I'm Jesse Kirsch. Thanks for watching.